I'm Dr. Brad Hafford at the University of Pennsylvania Museum, and today I'm looking at a few mystery objects with a very special guest.
Howdy, friends. My name is Milo. You may know me as Mini Minuteman. I am an archaeologist and an anthropologist and a storyteller, and today we're going to be looking at some mystery objects, so I'm excited to see what is in this bag. See, this table has seen a lot of artifacts. It's been...
Yeah. All right, you ready for your next object?
Let's see it.
Let's see what you think about this one.
Oh, it's a fish medallion. Oh, it is a medallion. Yeah, look.
Essentially.
Okay, so it seems to be two fish carved out of stone. It's got a little eyelet at the top, and yeah, is it decorative jewelry piece?
Well, these are all the
presumably?
questions that we want to try to think about. This one is probably gemmed at Nasser period, somewhere 3000, 2900 BC.
Wow.
And it does show two fish that apparently have been caught and hooked together, maybe.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Representing a good catch. I mean, fish were very important. That's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it out and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of marshes around Ur, especially in the earlier periods. And they did a lot of fishing, and they used a lot of the reeds from the marshes and all of this stuff. So we would categorize it as an amulet or a pendant. I guess someone could just wear it or tie it to their belt and wish for a successful adventure going out to get fish, I suppose. But could it also be an offering? Maybe. One of the other reasons I wanted to talk about it is that it is a very hard stone. And how do they make these things? That's one of the questions that might come up with.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they didn't have tools.
You hear
like
that a million
How
times,
could
yeah.
you make something and carve this stone? This one isn't extremely detailed. It does have like 4 marks here, and I wonder sometimes.
Yeah, those are
did somebody
pretty
say,
detailed.
"Oh, I caught 4 fish today."
Yeah,
There
tally
are
marks.
counting sometimes. This happens, and I look for a lot of things like that in accounting and weighing and things like that. But it's broken here at the bottom a little bit. I suspect it was worn, and carving it can be done with copper tools. You know, and people think that maybe they couldn't, but
Yeah, we hear that a lot, the idea that, whatever tools they had at the time were not enough. I mean, especially in ancient Egypt where they talk about, like, how could they have cut through this stone? But there's obviously all the
most
stuff
of that's
about
limestone,
using...
and it's fairly easy to cut. It takes a lot of effort. And
Yeah.
they had a lot of
Thankfully, they had a
people
lot of
involved.
manpower, yeah. When that's the only thing you're doing, you're going to get through it,
Well, another reason I wanted to talk about fish, though, is that belief system again. We do know when they're starting to write down, and they're writing at about this time. This is pretty early for writing, but there's the stories of what's called Apkallu, and it means wise or the sage. There are 7 Apkallu who are the wise ones, and they're usually represented as fishmen. They came out of the water and they brought all knowledge to Sumer. So are these
Atlanteans.
fish? Well, so people might think that, but because water was so important, because marshes were so important, and they learned to get fish and all of this from them, that I think they started to believe that maybe that's where they gained their knowledge from that. So why not have these stories of the sages, the 7 sages coming out of the water and telling us how to do things?
I think that's another, interesting note is how, we're always taught when we hear about this region of the world in history, it's the Fertile Crescent, it's, the cradle of civilization and all that, and you look at, the ruins of it today, and it's all in a desert, essentially.
Yep.
And so it's, I think something that is not talked about enough is how that region climatically and environmentally has changed so drastically from the time when, it was marshes full of fish. And so what it looks like today is clearly not representative of what it had looked like when this was carved.
It's changed a lot, and we always start when we're teaching the Near East with geography to talk about the very different areas and how it has changed through time. And the Gulf, the head of the Gulf has moved farther south, so it was much closer to Ur back at the time. So they were definitely more marshy, and fish were extremely important to them. And the Apkallu, I mean, these are stories, right? We come up with stories to justify things or how we learn. And the things we don't understand, we kind of mythicize or something, right? So I don't know if they're part of that group, the Anunnaki, but you and I might talk about this conspiracy, because that's just the group of gods that they've created to sort of understand their world. And it doesn't mean they have to be aliens or that aliens came out of the water to give us knowledge. So along with that group, I wanted to talk about one other object which is similar, And I think you'll know what that is because I talk about them so much.
Oh, it's a duck weight.
Yeah, so we have to
Yeah.
talk about
Man, that
duck
is
weight. I mean,
beautiful.
come on.
Look at that. Wow, that's heavy.
It's hematite, which is a very dense stone.
Wow.
And it's super hard stone. So this is more of that question. How do you really carve that very
That is
hard?
beautiful.
It has iron in it. It's, hematite is
Wow.
a very dense stone. And yet they were able not just to carve it, but also polish it to a high sheen.
Yeah.
But you can do that with those tools and with abrasive materials to polish. And we get lots of stones that were used as polishers. We can see the efforts of the craftspeople. It didn't just appear magically to
Yeah.
anyone. They did have to work a lot.
Yeah.
And they did amazing things. And let's appreciate the humans
Yeah.
and their ingenuity.
Yeah.
Instead of saying they couldn't have done it. Well, of course they could.
Because they did. It's right here. There's the proof that they did it, Huh.
And
So-
this one weighs 3 shekels, so it's right in there, 24 and a half, 25 grams. Something.
That is interesting. So you could be able to tell how much one of these is worth because they are, there's a standardized weight. That's interesting. So is there any theories about what sorts of tools you would need in order to carve something like this?
We get drill bits and, it's all copper bronze. Adding tin makes copper harder, and that's a better tool to do this. And in some cases, and I wonder, maybe we need to do some experiments, maybe someone
Yeah.
the drill they would use is a hand bow drill, like you would use to start a fire. Sometimes people will use
For sure.
this. It spins when you wrap it around this, and the bit moves. And if you've got abrasive powders, sometimes you would put that in there. But I keep wondering, how do you hold something that small? Do you, say,
that's interesting.
maybe get your son over there. Hey,
Hold this.
Johnny, hold this. And, slipped it.
Right through your hand.
Don't know. Did they create some kind of vise? Maybe they did put it in. Sometimes cultures will kind of split a log and then tie that tightly with this held in it so that you can do the fine details on it, because it's not super detailed, but there's a bit of a bill.
It has a
bit
bill.
of
It has a notch between the bill and the body.
Right.
I mean, that would have taken someone had to be really talented to do that.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting, if we want to talk about using tools, is you can see that the line from the neck carries on to the neck itself.
Right.
So like that's clearly like one blade or whatever going back and forth like that. So.
But not only did they have to make it look good, they also had to make it the right weight. So they had to keep measuring that. And I better scrape a little more down, and I got to put it back on the scale. So this is really impressive.
That's precision,
someone
yeah.
could do that.
Huh. I know. I wish the whole thing was there. I'd be curious to see what the back of it.
Yeah, it's only
or
a few
is that
breaks on it.
actually?
You've only
So
got a
that
few
is a
chips.
flattened end. That is just the end
tail
of it.
has kind of they're depicting the tail as kind of up a little.
I see.
It didn't lose
Interesting.
much. It's lost a little
Okay. Yeah, I think I was looking at that and expecting the shape to carry, but that is a polished end there. That's amazing. That's really beautiful.
Yep.
Very
one of
cool.
my favorite objects. So
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
know your weights.
All right. So
Very
hope you
cool.
enjoyed
Hey,
that.
all right. Yeah, no, thank you very much. I think that's going to do it for these artifacts for now. So we'll be on our merry way.
That's good.
Sounds good. Cool.